I'll say the biggest challenge is having our sanctioning revoked.
Ever since like there's a little bit of success with the academy, we've been targeting people. People are sending emails about us. People won't sanction us, and they have no reason not to sanction. We have all the paperwork. We have everything.
There's a lot of email communication and phone calls and back and forth, and eventually the latest email that I got back was, you're not sanctioned. We withdrew your sanctioning, that's correct. We don't have to give you a reason why. We don't have to sanction anyone. Please don't contact us again.
There's so many challenges that we go through and we currently still are going through. I would say the biggest challenge is having our sanctioning revoked. So basically what sanctioning is, according to Alberta Soccer here, is basically they just state that you're a fit organization to train kids, right? Due to politics, our sanctioning was revoked. When our sanction was revoked, us as operators of BTB were suspended from all soccer related activities in Alberta, which is, since I have been here, the first time it has ever happened, right? There's been worse things that have happened regarding football that no one has ever been suspended out of all soccer related activities. People have been suspended from leagues, but you can still coach, or vice versa, you can't coach but you can go play. But anyway, so that happened. A big media blast was sent to the whole province, even to the extent where media blast was sent to British Columbia Soccer Association, because we have good connections there as well, informing them not to engage in any sort of activities with BTB or players. So for example, they informed Whitecaps, which is a professional soccer team that have a lot of interest in our players, not to take a look or take any of our players on trial, because quote unquote we're suspended from any soccer activity. We're not a sanctioned program. That's how far it went. At the end of the day, you're just hurting kids that are in our academy. You just stopped an opportunity for kids in our academy. Doesn't make sense.
We have, I'd say, something along the lines of, on a yearly basis, 35 to 45% of our kids are from very poor socioeconomic backgrounds, are from communities where, like I said, when my family first immigrated to Canada, my parents didn't know what our next move was. Right? They weren't going to be able to afford tons of fees for me to play sports and get gear and all that type of stuff. We have a lot of those kids. So 35 to 45% of our kids are either on no fees or subsidized fees, right? But they don't feel any different than the kids that pay full fees. And because we believe that, no, they should feel that equality. They should be empowered, because that might be the next coach in our program. That might be the next lawyer, the next doctor, the next carpenter, the next musician, that needs that atmosphere around them, that needs that culture around them, that needs friends, that needs coaches and mentors. There are kids in our program that have single parents or parents that work multiple jobs that don't have an adult figure in their life. That adult figure is, when they come to our program, the coach. And they don't want that adult figure to be authoritative on them. They just want someone to look up to that can be their friend. So we provide that. We provide that to a lot of kids.
Conde and I and Talal are also hired by university programs as assistant coach. We had to stop working with those programs, and this was mid-season, right? And then we had to stop. Our reputation all online, the things people were saying, different things people were saying, how we must have done something really bad for us to get suspended from all soccer related in Alberta. There's been instances where people have pulled guns and knives at soccer games. Names were not sent out to the whole of Alberta stating these people are suspended. Names were sent out from us just because they decided our program was not fit to be run anymore. Main reason for that was players were picking our program over their traditional program. If we put it in plain sight, they were losing money. They were not happy about that. They tried to put us in a position where academies would not grow and we would become supplement training, right? We're not gonna limit ourselves or our ability to make someone happy. If the product is there, players are coming, parents are happy, we're able to expand the product to offer more, why wouldn't we? We're not gonna limit ourselves to one training a week because another program needs to have 2, 3 training a week. It doesn't make sense. Increase your quality and maybe players will go. We try our best to increase our quality and players come. So long story short, we were suspended from all soccer related activities. I know I have people even at work that played soccer that heard about it, or they had friends that had heard about it. And I mean, people don't tell the full details, and even the suspension did not even say the full details. It was something along the lines of these individuals are suspended from all soccer related activities. Full stop. That was it. When something is vague as that, people start to think the worst, right? So you'd be walking down the street and you can just tell that if you're in a soccer environment that people are talking about you and they don't know the full story, but they're just making up whatever comes to their head.
I think personally, like for me, it was an emotional moment when they took the sanction away, just because like everything was targeted towards me, right? I know obviously Price and Talal, those guys are directors at the club, at the academy, but I think most things were targeted towards me, just because obviously a lot of people know that I started the academy. A lot of people know like a lot of the kids I have relationship with them and the families. So yes, I was targeted on Facebook. I was targeted on Twitter. Just people saying bad things about me, putting me down, and just dragging my name in the dirt. Um, yeah, so it affected me in a big way. Even when I'm home, like I'm seeing these things. A lot of people like saying, "Oh, Conde, don't look at those things. Don't look at the emails. Don't look at the Twitter. Don't look at Facebook." But for me, I like to see those things, and like I even save it on my phone. I use it as motivation. But I think at that moment, it really dawned on me because like I went into like a isolation, right? I didn't want to talk to anyone. I literally just stayed in my office the whole day, right? Sometimes I go the whole day without coming downstairs, right? Just on the computer or laying down, just like depressed. My daughter want to play with me. I would want to play. I was just weak all the time. I was just sad. Um, didn't smile, always daydreaming. Like it was just a bad time for me. And I think my wife was affected just because we just have a daughter and she was working. So it was tough for us. But like after a few weeks, I just looked at it and I just started using it as motivation. I'm like, okay, these people think I'm like this. These people think I'm a bad coach. These people think I'm a bad person. People think I'm chasing money. I'm doing this. Okay, let me show them that like everything I'm doing is for the kids. Everything I'm doing is for the growth of the community.
The conversations again between myself, Pius Conde, other coaches is what example are we setting for the kids in our program if we give up? Right? What example am I setting for my own kids if I say, oh, when times get tough or when people start kind of going against you, that you quit and then you just go and join them? Like in that sense, right? So we said, no, we're going to go and fight this. So we reached out. We had several good people on our side, parents, family, ourselves, escalate this, right? We looked at all the other programs that existed and we truly felt like we were being discriminated against, right? Why is our program the only program going through these issues, right? I sent an email to ASA directly and I asked the question of, I agree with all the rules in place. I have no problem being suspended for being involved in an unsanctioned program because it says that there can be disciplinary action. What I expect is that everyone else also involved with an unsanctioned program receive the same disciplinary action, right? So, and I even sent them a list of of programs, names of people within those programs. I think there might have been over 100 names of coaches, staffs, volunteers, administrative people involved in unsanctioned programs. And I said, for every one of them, not a single person got suspended, not a single person received a letter, nothing. Really didn't get anywhere with it. I know some parents and some people within our program sent complaints to Canada Soccer. Eventually, I don't know where the direction came down from, but eventually the association had to get someone involved to bring in legal counsel to do an internal investigation. And when that happened, they decided to completely suspend that rule. So the rule of being suspended as a coach as part of an unsanctioned program got erased. No communication went out to anybody about it. They just said that rule is suspended. No communication went to anybody about our cause, right? It was very quick communication. I think an 8-day turnaround from the time that a complaint was sent in about us to the time that we got suspended, with full names, investigation, research, but nothing ever went out that we weren't suspended. It was constant pushing and fighting and countless hours in the evening after our full-time jobs, and with time away from family and kids, putting these documents together and appeals and all this type of stuff, just to get someone to notice that we shouldn't have suspended this group, right? We need work to do. We hear a lot of things about no, this is equal for everybody, but the actions don't show that.
You do and follow a lot of the politics and policy stuff, and you're into that. Do you think that it at least is starting to change in the right direction after this whole process? Like, I know a door's been opened for us that has always been closed as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
Do you think it's changing? Do you think it was worth it?
So the way I see it is there was basically two processes happening at the same time. There was my complaint that I made, and then there was you guys with your appeal and your hearing. I submitted the complaint in October, and then they sent me the letter in February with their findings of their investigation. And their findings were basically, it was wrong for us to suspend the 4 BTB players. We're going to cancel the suspension. We're going to write an apology. And then they said, we didn't find any discrimination or harassment. But then a few paragraphs later, they're saying, we're going to get everyone at ASA and all the members to do diversity, harassment, discrimination, inclusion training. So it's kind of confusing as to why, if you didn't find discrimination, why now are you going to do this training?
When that decision was made, it was a decision made by people that had an agenda towards putting a stop to BTB. And we always say this, it was made in an office. A phone call was made, whoever at the time controlled soccer in Alberta decided okay and suspended us. No one came to our practice, no one asked for our qualifications, no one asked for insurance, things that we would put kids in danger if we didn't have insurance and someone got injured, if we were not qualified, educated coaches, if we're in an environment where it didn't. No one came to look, to investigate. They sat in an office, they heard a bunch of news and just went ahead and made a decision. So I think in the future, if something or a big allegation like that is made, I think it does deserve some sort of investigation, right? Not just, okay, 3 people are saying this, it must be true, and you go ahead. Otherwise, why would you write an apology, and why would you revoke the suspension if it had any truth to it whatsoever? It doesn't make sense, but the damage is done. Until this day, even though an apology letter was sent out to us, suspension was revoked, we are still known as the guys that got suspended from Alberta soccer. Till this day, that name follows us, and that's a negative name that's gonna follow us for I don't know how long.